Amy at EuroLuxHome.com. Nice to see you again. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and maybe even share it with a friend who might also enjoy learning about European antiques. So I am often asked how someone can identify the type of wood that their particular piece of furniture has been crafted out of. And so I decided to do this brand new series all about identifying specific types of wood based on graining pattern. So last week we looked at oak, and this week we are turning and looking at walnut. Walnut is a very strong hardwood, and it's highly valued. It's actually quite an expensive wood, and it's known for its just gorgeous graining pattern and beautiful patina, which is just this nice warm glow as it ages. So the walnut tree as a species has been around for 35 to 45 million years. An interesting fact is that supposedly Alexander the Great, back in the 4th century BCE, before Christ, actually brought the walnut tree to Greece from Persia. And the Romans were said to have loved the fruit of the walnut tree, the walnut itself, so much that they planted walnut trees all throughout the Roman Empire, the Roman territory, so all the way up into Central Europe and England. And even their gods, Jupiter, the king of the Roman gods, was said to just love walnut fruit. And the name of the species of the tree is actually based on the word Jupiter. Now, that is the European walnut. There are different varieties of walnut, and the European walnut, which this is made out of, is the one that was brought back to Greece and Rome, and that's the one that the walnut that we eat comes from, that variety. It's also known as French walnut or English walnut. Now, here in the US, the black walnut tree is more predominant. So just taking note that there are different varieties. But they are all part of the same family, and it's the same family that the hickory and the pecan tree comes from, or pecan if you're from the South. But the walnut tree has been used to produce furniture for a long time, going all the way back to the Middle Ages in the 12th century, and then with the Gothic style, it was used a little more predominantly in the Renaissance in the 15th to 17th centuries, and in the Baroque style of the 17th century. It really was, that was the height of its popularity, was the 17th and early 18th century. It was so popular that it was actually used to make gun stocks, the handles of rifles and guns, especially in the 17th century, but is still used to make gun stocks today. And that's because the wood itself is shock resistant and just so durable and hard. Now, walnut as a choice for furniture production fell out of favor in the 18th and 19th centuries. So we did see the rise of mahogany in the Georgian and Victorian styles, but by the late 19th century, with the rise of the Art Nouveau style and the arts and crafts movement, we do see an uptick in using walnut in wood, and it's still used to make beautiful wood furniture, walnut furniture today. So it's considered to be the woodworker's dream, and that's because the walnut wood is very strong, but it's able to be worked so that you can carve fine details into the wood, and it has a beautiful long graining pattern. Now, because woodworkers just think that it's the perfect wood to work on, it is one of the most expensive woods available. And really the reason that it's so expensive is because it's a very slow-growing tree. Walnut takes almost 50 years to reach maturity. It grows to heights of over 100 feet tall. And so due to that very slow growth pattern, it makes the wood a little bit more expensive, but it also makes a very dense graining pattern. And that is what's so beautiful, is the long straight lines that are very dense. Now, you do find some waves and curls. I'll show you later on the difference between oak and walnut so that you can see the difference in the pattern. But for the most part, you recognize walnut by those great big long straight lines in the graining pattern. Now, there's another type of walnut that you might have heard of, which is burled walnut. So what is burled walnut? How is that different from regular walnut? Well, a burl is actually sort of a little wart-like growth that grows mostly on the trunk of the walnut tree. It's actually an abnormality, but in those little funky little growths that grow on the tree, the graining pattern is absolutely beautiful. It's not this long graining pattern. Instead, it forms swirls and twists and a really unique pattern. So I'll show you a picture of what burled walnut looks like so that you can see that. Now, walnut itself has a very smooth and even texture. So it's great for making tabletops and cabinets. It's especially used for fine furniture. And the color varies. So sometimes people think that you identify wood based on the color, but in fact, walnut ranges from a light golden color all the way up to a deep dark chocolate brown. It just depends on the age and the part of the tree that's used. But what we all agree on is that walnut just ages with this gorgeous warm glow. So if you'll come around, I'll show you now so you can look specifically at these long graining patterns. And then in comparison to oak. So oak has a much wider space between its long grains. So here, this is much denser. So I think you can see the difference, but let's go look at one more. So we'll come this way. So this is a walnut piece. Again, has this beautiful, warm, rich patina. And as you come and look closer, you can see these long grains, long striations. Now, you do see some curls and waves in there, but not as much as you see in oak. So here, when you look side by side, I think you can see it's much denser. The graining pattern is much tighter than on the oak. And if you look here between two carved pieces, you can see again the wider space between the grain versus the very tight graining pattern on the walnut. And even going up, you can see again the wide spacing between the grain and the very tight spacing between the grain. So hopefully that helps you to better identify walnut when you see it in person. If I could answer any additional questions for you, please feel free to reach out or leave comments below. But remember to like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and maybe even share it with a friend who might also enjoy learning how to identify walnut. See you next time.